America hasn't done as good as
This is
people
the
when it comes
Black
to
Lives
fighting off the
Matter
protesters
event.
out playing at
I
recess.
will be recording
We're
this,
just
not live
we're just
streaming this.
hoping and
It
wishing we can get
10
out.
minutes have
But
went
I
by,
think
but
that if
you
we
know,
settle into the
you can
timeout
watch the
and
rest just
really
in
learn
case
the
you need a
lessons we're supposed to
recap,
learn from this
just in
season,
case you
I think
didn't
we'll
able to
emerge as
watch
better.
it.
We'll learn how to play well with others in more ways than one.
And I will try,
And for me, I'm taking this
to
time to learn
make
me in a
this
new way. I feel like I'm being ushered into a new season, and I'm getting still because sometimes the busy uh, confounds
this cockhead's
the
trying to block us.
work that we're supposed to actually be doing. We're busy
He's
doing
trying to.
other stuff, but we got work that we need to do on the inside. And I'm like, I'm leaning into it. I'm like, dang, I thought I was gonna be able to rest like everybody else. And then God's like, nah, we got work to do.
You know what? And I think that's what everybody is saying.
Anyways,
It's
I will
demanding
be
that we
recording this,
relax. And you said it's a
and by
lonely
the time you
road.
see
What do
it,
you mean by that?
it'll be
Yeah, it's like
uploaded,
everyone
maybe by
sit
tomorrow.
down, be humble.
And
To
if
a
you
great
need a
prophet
recap on
Samuel.
it, this is it
But
now.
no, seriously, sit down and let's read.
And
Pastor Phil was
anyways, I
saying,
will be
let us
quiet now.
unearth and shake up the things that we have been trying to hide within ourselves, within our nation. I think America is going through an unraveling right now, a much needed, a much necessary one. And I think all eyes on us, right? There is no, oh, I was on the subway for an hour, so I didn't miss that thing that happened. No, everybody was home. Everybody, was watching when George Floyd died, and everybody, no one could hide it. Everyone was watching when Amy Cooper called the cops. Like this is a time where it's like, oh, we can't pretend it away. We can't excuse it away. No, 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 no. It's a global timeout. Sit down, watch, and let's learn. And globally, it's like, hey, we were going business as usual, but it ain't usual no more. Like that's old. Anytime change occurs, it's very uncomfortable. And so right now we're sitting with we're getting we're getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
The minorities, we've been comfortable with being uncomfortable because that to me explains just the existence for whatever we want to do, how we break into our careers, how we live our lives, how we find ourselves one of the few or one of the first. And that's a lonely road. When you look at and when you talk about this global timeout, everybody had to pay attention to Amy Cooper. Everyone had to pay attention to George Floyd. How is that helping us as a people, as a country during our global timeout?
I think, well, one, we're not minorities, Carrie. You already know it. It's like these labels that they put on us.
Yeah.
It's like the same way of saying like black on black violence. Also, there's no white on white violence. It's branding,
Yeah,
right? It's all
yeah,
branding.
you're right. You're
It's
right.
like white people kill white people every single day. So no, there is no black on black violence. And if you say black on black violence, well then let's brand white on white violence. Like I watch
Mhm.
Investigation Discovery. Ain't too many of us being featured. So I just even like, but to answer your question, what does that do? I think what everyone expected is
Josh,
what has happened in the past
it
political
is that my
protests,
party's
right?
moving
In
in
that
15 minutes.
okay, you
I
had
think I might be getting kicked out.
from Trayvon Martin to Castilian to
Anyways,
Sandra
I'm gonna
Bland.
be
You had all of
quiet,
these
guys. Just so you can
lives
watch the
lost,
video.
and
I
black people made
didn't
some
want to
noise.
make a live stream because it would be
We
really bad
rioted,
quality,
we
and
highlighted some
people
things,
sometimes are not
we
awake at
started
this
the Black
time,
Lives Matter
and
movement,
it
all
takes
of
a little
those
while to
things.
upload.
And then after,
So
and
if
then
I do
by this time it's like,
recordings,
oh, let's get into
you
some
can
things.
watch it
Or and then it's just like,
anytime you want.
is
So
it over? It's like Oscar is so black. Okay, good. We gave some Oscars. Are we good now? Like, are we even?
Mm-hmm.
And it's now it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no 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 no. This is not about like a band aid. It's like, yo, we might have to amputate the leg a little bit, but it's all right because we're gonna by amputating the leg we're gonna save the body. And so I think that's what's happening now. Like America is realizing like, oh, black people aren't just making a little bit of noise. Like the protests are still out, the conversations are still being had, the change is still being demanded, and I think they're seeing, oh, this is not going no way, and no, it's not because we need systematic change.
What a beautiful way to explore what is happening and describe our country. We might have to amputate the leg, but that's to save the body. That's what's happening right now. That's beautiful, Yvonne. And to that end, I have to ask you this because the way that we do that, we use our voice. And our voice right now in this world, in this country, is our vote. And everyone talks about voting and how important it is, but I feel like more than ever we understand that it's not just about voting every 4 years for the man in office. It's about your local elections. It's about the mayor. It is about the district attorney, the people who have the power to bring charges against police if police brutality is an issue in your community. If you care about your school district, you can run for the school board. I ask this of you, right? Your parents are from Nigeria. You are Nigerian. You talk about that very lovingly. What does voting mean for you?
I think voting is power. I remember, I became a naturalized citizen back in the '90s when because I was still a minor. My mom naturalized, and so we were able to do it under her. And just even that power of like we are American citizens and all the access that we have by being citizens. One of those accesses and those access to power being voting. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because not only are we do we have the opportunity to be in this country, but now we can be of the country. We can be of the systems. We can be of the rules. We can be of what it actually affords. But I think going back to your earlier comment about just the setup of systems, I think we are done a disservice either it's schools or whatever it is. And I'm not putting teachers on blast. I think teachers do a phenomenal job, but for some reason, we do not, and give them all the raises. I know too many parents who are like, I might, this child of mine, I do love them, but hey, who, where can I drop them off? And I do think that there's a disservice done because, again, when we talk about voting, to your point, we talk about every 4 years. It's important to vote for the presidency. We don't realize, like, oh, snap, we actually can vote about like how much our libraries get. It's like small things like that, but they make a big difference.
When you think of voter suppression in this country, what does it look like for you?
It's the systems. When we talk about voter suppression, we also talk about systematic racism, right? It's all the systems that set up, and we've normalized. Okay, maybe your job will give you a half day, or maybe you'll be able to get this luxury. It shouldn't be a luxury. It should be built into the system. It should be built into the fabric of how we vote. But maybe you'll be able to get this luxury in order to enable you to go vote. Think about everything disenfranchised, marginalized, Black person has to endure in a day. So in a day, you need to get to work. If something happens to your car, if something happens to your child care, if something happens to, there's so many factors along the way that can send you into a tailspin as an American. And then you add on as a person of color, if you're just trying to get to vote and you already have to go through all of these hurdles and hoops in your everyday life, imagine the one day when your voice really is supposed to matter the most in this country. But then you also see all the times that you tried to have your voice matter and then it's been shut down, repressed, told it doesn't matter. And then you're kind of like, what's the point?
How do we keep hope though? If I'm watching this right now, I want to I how do we as a people stay hopeful? How do we believe in the promise that these quote unquote forefathers have given us?
Because have you met Black people? By default, like hope is infused in our DNA. Like you know what I'm saying? Like by default, like if we haven't been broken now through, be it through
You're right.
slavery, through
Give it to give
capitalism,
it to me.
through
Give it to me.
colonization, through
Yeah,
segregation,
you're right.
through I mean, listen, the history of Black people in this country is at one point we were 3/5 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
At one point,
That was a written law. And look at us now. We are whole. We are Black girl magic. We are Black boy joy. We are, you know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
What I think about in terms of giving us hope, right? We're making a lot of people nervous right now, Carrie. We're
Of
making a
course.
lot of people
Ben,
nervous right now because they're like, dang, we put all these obstacles in their way, and these jokers are resilient. But that should give us hope. That should give us hope that like we can't stop, won't stop. I mean, I went to the school of Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag, Harlem shaking it right now. Can't stop, won't stop. And I think that's our motto. We can't stop voting and we won't stop voting. We can't stop marching and we won't stop marching. We can't stop thriving and we won't stop thriving.
to that end, because you led me directly there, I've been asking everyone who's appeared on this platform, what does activism look like? And I feel like back in the day, we had an idea. Yes, it is marching. Yes, it
Yeah.
is protesting. Yes, it is speaking out against things that we feel are not right or unjust. But talk to me about what activism looks like for Yvonne Orji.
Listen,
Corey,
activism. I think the beauty of activism is that it has
Corey,
many
I'm gonna
faces.
go.
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
go. Okay, in a bit.
like you know what?
See you.
Martin Luther
Bye.
King marched, but there
Bye.
were a lot of women who were in the halls
Anyways,
like,
I
hey,
will be
we gotta
quiet so
come
you
back and
can
how
enjoy
do
the
we
Black
support all the people in
Life
the front
Matters
lines?
event.
We're gonna be here doing what
And
we know to do best here.
you
And you
know,
know what? Somebody needs to
I don't
tell
really
the
want to
African American
broadcast
that we
this
need to now we need to
because
be in the community
it's kind of
of
laggy
getting money or whatever
and
it is.
done
So it's like
live.
everybody has a position to play.
It's
Nobody
just,
is
not that many
yeah.
people get
So
to see
whoever
it.
you are and
So,
whatever you do,
yeah.
play your position. So activists could look like, you know what? I'm not the one that's built to be on the front line, but you know what? My pockets go deep, so I'm gonna support the people on the front line. You know, I'm a comedian. Black joy is a form of activism.
There's always a call for entertainers or celebrities that have the platform to do something. Why aren't you speaking out? I'm not a believer in thinking that it's mandatory. Like you said, everyone can be an activist and be activated in different ways. But talk to me about the connection. Talk to me about the marginalization in your world and how you feel like it even inspires you to say more and use your platform to do more.
Beneath the surface of what we do, like Niecy Nash says, it's the who, right? The who is the person who's going to be like, hey, let me call this out. Either blind racism in terms overt racism in terms of ways that we can be better, in terms of ways that we can actually be more uplifting to the community that we don't even you may not even realize that you're serving.
Before I let you go, talk to me about the urgency, in your opinion, for people to vote, our people to get out and vote this coming election.
Yeah, I mean, guys, Ryan, Ryan, if you think you're tired now, I'm telling you right now, we cannot take this sitting down. We can't take this jokingly. I understand that it may be hard to figure out who to vote for, but at the end of the day, we got to vote for our families. We got to vote for our legacies. We got to vote for continued progress. We have to vote for upward mobility. We have to vote for equality in a way that is long lasting. And if we succeeded before, we can do it again. You talk about the whole. This is the time. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to pretend away that we haven't made progress. We have. There's still much more to be done. And you know what? We might have to get to a point where we pass the baton to our children and our children's children, but we still have work to do now for that generation.
Von Orgy, you are everything. You are Molly, but you are not Molly. But I love you so much as Molly on HBO's Insecure. You are an amazing podcaster, Jesus and Jola. Shout out to Lovey. And then we also have movies. Like you, the world, you're a model, a cover model. Also, wait, don't let me forget your hugely successful stand up comedy special on HBO. Girl, I mean, you're doing it all. And I am so grateful. You're truly the dream, not just the American dream. You're the black girl, brown girl, do it all dream, the immigrant dream, everything. You're a beautiful, beautiful soul. I really, really mean that from the bottom
Thank
of my
you.
heart. Yvonne Orgy, ladies and gentlemen, nothing but the best and excellence personified. Thank you so much, my friend.
I love you so much, Mama. Mwah.
Yeah, la la.
So, Atlanta has been one of the hotbeds in terms of political unrest and social injustice. We've seen so much happen in that city, and we've also seen so much come from that city, including one of our very own founding fathers of the civil rights movement, and that's Martin Luther King Jr. But right now, we want to welcome in someone who has used his platform to talk about voting, to talk about racial injustice, and how he's trying to help. Atlanta's very own Russ joins us now on We the People. Russ, I'm not going to fan out and tell you what some of my favorite songs were that I listened to repeat on yours. We're going to get to the topic at hand. So, we got to talk about recently you did an interview where you shared your outlook on culture and music. And you also were very candid about the fact that you have a privilege and that it's necessary for you to give back. Tell everybody about what that means.
As like it's very obvious I'm white and I'm in black culture and I'm benefiting financially off of it. So I feel like if you're a white person financially benefiting off of black culture, you have to put finances back into black culture. It's just that simple. screenshots with your feelings. It just comes off like fake empathy because it comes off very dismissive and very oh, that sucks for y'all, but anyway, back to what I was doing.
Have you felt that way always, or is it now because of the time of where we are in this country?
I've always had the feeling. I think now it's just obviously elevated. It's a new level, and there's new, it's to the point now where you can't. First of all, you can't not say anything. Second of all, though, I just think saying something isn't enough anymore. I think, if you have the ability to put money back into a culture that you're financially benefiting from, you have the ability to, you should.
It's interesting that you talk about it in that way because some people do believe that silence is the best way to go because it's hard to talk race, especially if you're white and you're in the black culture. People just feel as if they can't talk about it. They feel awkward. They feel as if they don't have the privilege or the voice or the words. How do you find yourself right now in terms of interacting with people when they want to talk to you about social injustice, police brutality, what's going on in this country right now?
Well, first of all, picking and choosing whether you want to be silent or not about race, that's a privilege in and of itself. But no, I mean, I try to just do my best to listen to the black people around me and the educated black people I have in my life. So I do my best to not act like I have all the answers for everything, especially in a culture that I'm not from. But that's why when we decided to raise the money for Black Lives Matter organizations, when we raised 500,000, we got on the phone with some of the women who started Black Lives Matter. I got on the phone with Tamika Mallory. I was on the phone with Karen Civil and talking with my friends to make sure the money went to like the correct places, and people who really need it. It's just about listening. That's all.
Let's
It's about listening.
let's talk about that for a moment because the way I think of activism for me, it looks very differently. It's not necessarily just protesting on the front lines. I think that's great. But what about being an activist in the way in which you have decided to be one? What inspired you? What did it look like? You said you raised money for Black Lives Matter. What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through everything that you did and how you find yourself in this moment right now.
So for me, it was 3 years ago. I had like a string of festivals, and I decided that I was going to wear T-shirts with a message on them because I figured, what better, what better time to use a platform than in front of a bunch of people. So one of the T-shirts I wore was, "If you want to change the system, speak up. White silence is pro-racism. The whole thing." And it didn't really it kind of got swept under the rug back then, but when all this stuff started happening again, and it's been happening, the police brutality against innocent black people, I was like, man, I'm not the biggest artist in the world, and I certainly don't have the most white fans in the world, but I got a good amount of people that I can definitely mobilize and turn into some money. And I know they're down for the cause because it's merch, it's a good thing. And I've always been outspoken anyways. And so, how am I going to be in black culture and not be outspoken about racism?
And then I got to ask you this because you grew up in Atlanta, so that gives you a heads up, depending for so many people, because you're in the crux of that beautiful black city where there are so many wonderful black leaders, home of so much great music and things that speak to our culture right now. And we are really, really getting our word out, especially with this platform today, and saying
Mm-hmm.
that we must use our voice to vote. Talk to me about what the importance of voting for you in this upcoming election.
Yeah, so full transparency, I had never voted before, ever. Um, and because I was one of those people who was like, my vote doesn't matter, and I don't know, maybe it's because I was younger, maybe it's because I really thought that, or I don't know, but I just think that it's got to, now this is a bit of a privilege to say it's got to a breaking point for me because obviously it's been past the breaking point for black people, but I think that as a whole, the young people need to get out and vote because we're the ones that.
Well, I think it must have ended I think I was just in the thing for too long, so it kicked us out. Anyways, don't forget to use Corey in the item shop. Anyways, bye.